Hello there, and welcome back to International Fathers. I'm your host and your creator, Nelson Moody Sr. We're back and we're still talking about child custody. Still teaching a father how to represent himself in the judicial system for some type of custody in reference to his child or his children. In this final video of a 14 video series of teaching the father how to represent himself in the judicial system for custody of his child or children, you will have everything here. You don't have to sit in a law school. You don't have to sit in a classroom. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars to have that attorney represent you. It's all here in these 14 videos that come from a father's self-representation. Hosea 4 and 6, eliminate the middleman, the attorney. 14 videos. Up to 6 hours of teaching. 6 hours of teaching versus 4 years. That cuts your time in half. Without further delay, this is called the final destination. What better way to end this series? Final destination. It's the end result of an N.B.A. championship, a World Series, a Stanley Cup, a Superbowl. It's when you playing the best of the best and you beat to be called the best in your craft. The following is how your Supreme Court paperwork could look. Here we go. At the top of your cover page, you will have, of course, your date and your case number. In the Supreme Court of the United States, remember, things in this book are fictitious, the names and the people and the places. However, the teaching is for real. February term 2008, Mike L. Cucumber Sr., he's the petitioner, the initiator, the plaintiff, the one who brought all his matters to court, versus Denise Asparagus, the respondent, the defendant. Petition for writ of certiorari, Court of Appeals of Maryland. Meaning again that you now want the Supreme Court to reverse an action by the lower court and have your case heard or retried to get a favorable decision that you are seeking. Petition for writ of certiorari. Mike L. Cucumber Sr., of course we know he lives at 123 Neptune Circle, Maryland, 0001. He is pro se. Still means representing yourself. Type of person we use at the bottom level. At the top level, the language change. Pro se. PRO-SE. It still means representing yourself. Your question presented. This part will have your questions to be asked to the court on the Supreme Court level. Wow! All the way up to the Supreme Court of the land. That's an accomplishment. List of parties. This is how the cover of your paperwork could look on the Supreme Court level. The Supreme Court of United States Status is not a typo. Remember, the names, the places, and things in this book are fictitious, made up. However, the facts are true. The information is valid and correct. The list of parties. This part will have the names of the parties involved in the case, the attorneys, the petitioner, and the respondent. Table of authorities. This part will have court cases that are similar to your court case. And remember, you've already done this. It's just that at the Supreme Court level, it's in a different order. And some of the wording may be different. Some may throw you off. But remember, in the first two videos, the terminology and the plain language, you have learned those terms. So you know what they mean. So when you get this far, you're not worried or afraid to challenge it. Opinions below. This part will have the opinions of the initial court case as well as the opinions of the lower court's opinions of your court case. Meaning, when Mr. Cucumber first brought this case to court, all that information is needed here. On his first appeal, all that information is also needed here. On his second appeal, all that information is also needed here too. So just that you're going right back in ABC order all over again, but at the Supreme Court level. Statement of jurisdiction. This part will have the conclusions, decisions of the initial court case of the lower court conclusions, decisions on your case. And again, whatever decision they made after Mr. Cucumber initiated his paperwork of child custody, the decision that they gave him back, this will go in that area. His first appeal, when he filed their paperwork, the response and opinion that they gave him in reference to that, this will go here. And on his second appeal, when he submitted their paperwork, their conclusions of their paperwork, that information will go here as well. Constitutional and statutory provisions included. This part will have the annotated code of your state that you're making all your appeals in. Which means all the laws in reference to expert witnesses, the teachers, the police officers, DSS workers, Child Protective Service workers, all this information and the laws that you now know just as well as the attorney and just as well as the judge will go on this information. The statement of your case. This part will have information on the initial case that was filed from the beginning of the very first court hearing. The very first statement of the case. You are here seeking custody. That's everything in a nutshell. That is your statement. And you want to make that bold, accurate, clear, and concise as possible. You're not coming here for no games. You're not coming here for nobody to turn their head or close their ear. You're here for some business. And this is how that could look. The list of parties. The table of authorities. Opinions below. Statement of jurisdiction. Constitutional and statutory provisions included. The statement of the case. Everything is there, is written for you. After you've done all of that, reasons for granting the petition. This is where you put everything into it. You come a long way. This is the part where you want to put everything together, stating your case while being direct, concise, and clear in all your presentation. Use cases similar to your own witness information, expert witness information, and anything you think of needed to show your case is worth being heard and overturn the previous court decision. And in plain language, write and state what you're here for. Don't sugarcoat, don't compromise. Straightforward, sharp. I'm here for this. It's custody issue. My case should be reheard and or retried. I don't think I got the best favorable decision that would show the best interest of my 3 children, the cucumber children. And it's requested that my case be heard again by the lower courts. The conclusion of this part is where you request strongly to the court that they reverse the decision of the lower court and have things in your favor. You can even add how your case can affect and be in the best interest of the public. Tell them how you feel about your court case. A case like yours affects the public. When a judge listens to testimony from witnesses and an attorney, and they base their decision with false evidence, lies, perjury, they're taking their ink pen, writing a conclusion or a decision of something that is full of lies and deceit and manipulation and cunningness. They will write something that will affect your life for the rest of your life. Trust and believe me, I know firsthand. But you want to write all that information in there. This show is in public interest. Because what your child or children go through in their courtroom is of public interest. Because there are more children out there, not just in Baltimore, Maryland, not just in the United States, but children around the world suffer and get abused by the judicial system because somebody makes a wrong decision based upon facts, evidence, proof, pertinent information, and credible witnesses. It's public information when you pull a child or children from a hostile environment for 30 days and put them back in the same environment, as opposed to giving these children to their father who can have a good job, home, vehicle, finances, love, support, caring, guidance. Everything that's needed for his child or children. And the judicial system along with Child Protective Services, and sometimes Department of Social Service steps in and put these children right back in the same rat traps that they came out of. That's public interest. That child will grow up psychologically, mentally, emotionally traumatized for the rest of his or her life, and may even duplicate the same to their child or children. All this is based upon lies from the attorney and the witnesses and that judge with him or her ink pen. Think before you make a decision, judges. Attorneys, stop lying. Child Protective Services, stop covering up. Department of Social Services, stop covering up. I must give a shout out, 2 thumbs up, for law enforcement around the world. Police officers around the world. At whatever capacity you're in, the city, state, or the federal, or international. Law enforcement around the world who find these children, make their reports, and do their job to satisfaction of finding these children, taking pictures, and reporting properly. It's when it gets out of their hand, things get screwed up. Cover-ups and lies. In my first 2 books, When a Judge Can't Judge, My Nightmare of the Court System in Baltimore, Maryland, When a Judge Can't Judge, Part 2, The Conclusion. The police department in Baltimore, Maryland was the only agency in 5 years of my court case who have done their job properly. No one else. Everybody else covered up or didn't want to get involved and didn't do their job by law. Holding degrees, social workers. Holding degrees, CPS workers. After you have done that, you are finished. If you get something back saying no in so many words, you still have one more step. That is called a rehearing letter. This is your last chance to have the Supreme Court overturn a decision for the lower courts to hear your case again. And once again, you are seeking a favorable decision on your behalf. After all that's said and done, you can look up and smile because you have come through the court system by yourself. No attorney was needed. You didn't even look for one. But you've made it all the way through. That's what you did. And give yourself a big clap. When fathers are involved with their child or children around the world, children get a better sense and understanding of a whole lot of stuff. Once children get their understanding Mothers who appreciate good fathers, that bond becomes better. It becomes better. This is for those child or children's parents who are not together. But when fathers are there, I'm going to read something to you. When fathers are involved with their child or children, children will be more mentally sharp, more emotionally stable, more psychologically coherent, more spiritually grounded, and eventually more economically centered. Because a father is in that life. Because of father's involvement. All this happens around the world. International fathers behind me. International fathers around the world. You now have 14 videos that came from a father self-representation. To get more detail, you can order Father's Self-Representation at Barnes & Nobles, Amazon, Borders, Author House, eBay, and wherever bookstores carry my books around the world. You can Google my name. The UK, India, South Africa, the Far East, Europe, Australia, it's there. South America, it's there. Anywhere in the world, you have access to internet. We must stop the trauma, the abuse of our child or children. We must stop that. So they can be better. All of this came from my first two books. When a Judge Can't Judge, My Nightmare of the Court System in Baltimore, Maryland, and When a Judge Can't Judge, Part 2, The Conclusion. And in the mix of that, men are loving and caring parents too. In this picture here, my children are pretending. One is pretending to brush her teeth. My other daughter, I'm pretending to do her hair. And my son, I'm pretending to take his temperature. See that? Men are loving, caring parents too. You can log into my website, www.nelsonlmoodysenior.info. That's Senior SR. I'm on Facebook, Nelson L. Moody Senior. You can Google my name, Mingle City, MySpace, Black Planet. You can do other video searches of my videos on the internet. All my contact information. YouTube, International Fathers, one word. The Nelson L. Moody Sr. story depicts what I went through in the court system for 5 years. 5 years. My case went longer than the highly publicized court case back in the mid-90s. Once again, I'm your host and your creator, Nelson L. Moody Sr. You know it. You know what I'm going to say. Fathers, call those children. Call them. Children, call those fathers. Call them. Fathers, hug those children. And children, hug those fathers. I want to wish fathers around the world a happy New Year. Make it prosperous. If you have disconnected from your child or children in 2011 or 2010 or back, it's now time to reconnect with them in 2012 and stay connected with them from 2012 and beyond. Until next time.